Maylee's farm has a barn for cows and ostriches. Each day, each cow produces a gallon of milk, which Maylee sells for $1.50, and each ostrich lays an egg, which she sells for $5. Maylee's daily income from the barn is $138. Write an equation representing the number of cows and ostriches living in Maylee's barn. So C is the number of cows. And so every cow produces $1.50 worth of milk per day. So the total dollar amount produced from cows at Maylee's farm is $1.50 times C times the number of cows. So this is how much she makes off of the cows per day. Now let's think about how much she makes off of the ostriches per day. O is the number of ostriches, and each ostrich produces a $5 egg each day. So the total she makes off of the ostriches is 5O. So the total that Maylee makes per day, well, they tell us her total income is $138. $138. So that's the first part. This is an equation representing the number of cows and ostriches living in Maylee's barn, or it's relating the cows and ostriches to the total dollar value that she produces. If Maylee's barn is home to 36 animals, how many of them are ostriches? So it's essentially where the ostriches plus the cows are 36, how many are ostriches? So let me get my little scratch pad out here to tackle this part. So this first part, we said each cow produces $1.50 per day worth of stuff. So this is a total amount, total income from the cows, and the total income from the ostriches. Let me do that in a color that you can actually see. The total income from the ostriches, $5 per egg per ostrich times O ostriches. And that's not a 0, that's an O. That's why O is not typically used for variables in algebra problems, because it looks like a 0. But we'll remember that this is an O right over here. And we said that the total income is going to be $138. 138. Now, Maylee's barn is home to 36 animals, and we're assuming that they're only going to be ostriches or cows. So cows plus ostriches, cow plus ostriches is going to be equal to 36. Is going to be equal to 36. So there's a couple of ways that we could solve this now. We have two equations with two unknowns, two linear equations with two unknowns. So there's a bunch of ways we could solve it with substitution. We can solve it by taking multiples of these equations and adding them to eliminate variables. Oftentimes it's called elimination. But let's do it. Why don't we might as well do it with, let's do it with substitution. So let's subtract a C from both sides. And so we get the number of ostriches is equal to 36 minus the number of cows. 36 minus the number of cows. And so we can take this expression here and substitute it for O up here. And so this equation will become 150, or I could just write 1.5 times the number of cows plus 5 times the number of ostriches. But we just said the number of ostriches needs to be equal to 36 minus C. So we could write that as 5 times 36 minus C. I just substituted this expression in for O. 36 minus C is equal to 138. Now, what was valuable about this is now we have one equation with one unknown. We can solve for the number of cows. And then later we could solve for the number of ostriches. I guess if we wanted to go directly to the number of ostriches, we could have substituted for C instead of for O. But we'll get there either way. So we get 1.5 times the number of cows plus, what's 5 times 36? 5 times 36, let's see, 5 times 30 is 150, plus 5 times 6 is going to be another 30. So this is going to be 180. So plus 180 minus 5C, minus 5C is equal to 138, is equal to 138. So let's see, let's add 5C and subtract 1.5C from both sides. So let's do this. Let's add 5C, and I'm really trying to get the C's on the right-hand side. So we're going to add 5C to both sides. We're going to subtract 1.5C from both sides. So subtracting So minus 1.5c. And let's subtract 138 from both sides. Minus 138. So I'm really trying to get all my c's on the right hand side and all my constants on the left hand side. And so this is going to we are going to end up 100 minus 138. So 80 minus 30 would be 50. So 80 minus 38 is 42. So it's going to be 42 is equal to, see, these cancel. 5 minus 1.5 is going to be 3.5. It's equal to 3.5c. And like maybe I could do it up here. Let's see, 3.5 is the same thing. Let me write this. 3.5 is the same thing as 3 1/2, which is the same thing as 7 over 2. So let's rewrite it that way. 7 halves times c is equal to 42. Or if we multiply both sides times the reciprocal of 7 halves, we can multiply both sides times 2 sevenths. So 2 over 7 times 2 over 7, we get c is equal to, 42 divided by 7 is equal to 6. So 6 times 2 is 12. So there are 12 cows on the farm, which is not what they asked us. They want to know how many are ostriches. Well, we know that the cows plus the ostriches is equal to 36, or the ostriches is equal to 36 minus the number of cows. Well, there are 12 cows on this farm, so the number of ostriches are going to be 24. 24 of the animals are ostriches. So let's go back. Let's go back and luckily that is one of the choices. We typed that in and we got it right.